I'm just going to do a brief intro bio for you, and then we'll turn it over to you. So at Loblaw, David is responsible for technology across all of Loblaw's divisions. David sets the technology direction for the company by leading with business focus and empathy, ensuring systems and tools meet the needs of colleagues and customers today and in the future. As Senior Vice President, Loblaw Technology, David believes in driving the company's strategy with technology by solving big problems through creative solutions and leveraging a highly talented and engaged team. David is currently an adjunct professor at the Schulich School of Business at York University, where he teaches strategy and value realization in the Masters of Business and Analytics program. He is a member of the Professional Engineers of Ontario, the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, and the Institute of Corporate Directors. He is a member of the Board of Directors of Scale.ai and an advisory board member of OneEleven and Smart Computing for Innovation. David holds a Bachelor of Applied Science from the University of Toronto, an MBA from the Schulich School of Business, and is currently working to complete his Doctorate in Business Administration. David, thanks so much for joining us today, and I'd like to turn it over so you can tell us about the Loblaw AI journey.
I'm really excited to be here today to present to all of you a bit about Loblaw, and what I really wanted to focus my talk on this morning is the real power of partnerships in terms of building your AI capabilities in your business, and just the real power that can create when you're building an ecosystem between industry, academia, and other related entities across this very powerful AI ecosystem that's evolving, certainly in the Southwestern Ontario, Greater Toronto area, that I'm super excited about. I've been with Loblaw a long time, and I've seen our evolution, and I'm going to talk a bit about that, sort of where we started, both from a data journey perspective, but also how our partnerships have formed, in particular, the one that I'm very proud of with the Waterloo.ai Institute, and you know, a lot of the great work that we've done there. I'm going to share some exciting work that we're doing on other partnerships, and certainly you know, answer any questions at the end. So I think I'm going to try and talk for about 25-30 minutes, and then if you put your questions in the chat, I'll be happy to answer those at the end of the session. So a bit about Loblaw, and I just want to confirm, you saw when I changed the slide, it changed.
You're good there. This next slide.
Okay. All right, perfect. So a bit about Loblaw, because this really plays into our data ecosystem, and also, you know, a lot of the areas that we're exploring. We have over 2,500 locations that are producing a lot of data, and you know, most of the challenges with building great AI algorithms come with one, understanding what it is you're actually trying to accomplish and what outcome you're trying to drive. And we certainly always try and ensure that that's tied back to our corporate strategy. But the second is making sure you've got enough data to be able to do the right amount of training, do the right amount of testing, and then really understanding how that's coming about as you deploy those models into production. And so our ecosystem is, you know, large and evolving, certainly a large bricks and mortar presence across, as I said, 2,500 locations, a growing digital presence, especially over the past year. We also have a tremendous number of colleagues that work in our business and service our customers every day. And, you know, we really pride ourselves on being one of Canada's top employers, and you can see a list of other accomplishments there. We also have 25 distribution centers where we use to move product through our network from supplier through to shelf edge. And this ecosystem provides us with a tremendous amount of customer data, colleague data, operations data, sales data, and related data that we're able to then leverage for our AI journey. And to me, that's really been a bit of the challenge that we've been pursuing over the last number of years, and I'm sure one that all of you are maybe not struggling with, but are working through in your wherever you are in your own AI journey. And that's, how do I take this data? It may be well structured, it may be unstructured, it may be properly linked, clean it up, and then leverage it in a way that we can drive valuable business outcomes. The second thing I wanted to highlight a bit about Loblaw is that we are actually a collection of brands, and those are our retail selling brands, which you can see on the right-hand side. Most of them are regional in nature, and each brand services a certain market. We do have some national brands in terms of retail locations or divisions that span the entire country. Shoppers Drug Mart being probably the most widely known, but certainly No Frills is also now expanded across the country. Each banner stands for a different value proposition to our customers and different purpose in terms of enriching the lives of Canadians, but each one is in itself an integral part of the complex ecosystem that is Loblaw. And then we also have a number of other related entities and operating functions within the business that makes it both an exciting operation as well as an additional source of complexity, but also of data. We have our own private label CPG company that produces a significant number of products every year. And we also have three of Canada's best well-known and most well-known consumer brands. And those are President's Choice, which stands for the highest of quality in food. We have No Name, which stands for quality at an affordable price. And then we have Farmers Market, which stands for fresh in baked goods and related produce. We also have one of the largest health brands in our Life brand, which stands for quality, and also our apparel brand in terms of Joe Fresh. So all in all, the point of this was a complex ecosystem, different value proposition, and a different way to go to market that needs to be reflected as we think about our models and how we derive value from them. Our overall corporate purpose, and the one that we feel is most important to rally around every day, is to help Canadians live life well. And that comes in many, many forms. It comes in helping Canadians feed their family so they can live well. It helps in terms of providing the right healthcare through pharmacy and the medical clinics that we run. It helps in terms of guiding us as we think about financial services. And we've done a lot of customer research and a lot of listening to our customers. And I've sat in with different customers across different interview panels. And what has really become apparent to me is that every Canadian experiences the purpose of living life well differently and needs different things. And really our goal is to provide Canadians with the right assortment and the right collection of services so that they can assemble the right number and the right combination of those services and food sources and healthcare to be able to live the best life that they possibly can. And as we think about analytics and AI, technology is a common thread in our strategy. And AI powers our data-driven insights across our organization. And what you're seeing here is our compass, which is our pictorial representation of our corporate strategy. You can see our purpose at the top in the blue circle, to help Canadians live life well. At the center of the compass, where our focus always needs to be, is a passion for customers. And then you can see some of our key imperatives around best in health and beauty, and also our data-driven insights. And so as I think about, and whenever we do a presentation internally, it's about what part of the compass and what part of our key strategy are we talking about. And so today, I'm talking about our data-driven insights journey, powered by AI, and really powered and enabled by partnerships. As we think about our AI journey, and as you're thinking about whether you're starting or you're in the middle or you're highly mature on your journey, what is it you're really trying to do? And so AI and analytics are really looking on sort of three horizons. There's the past in terms of analyzing your business, your processes, your efficiencies, and understanding how things came to be how they are. There's the today in terms of optimizing decision-making, optimizing pricing, optimizing the myriad of things that come about in the operation of a business, which is really focused on the here and now. And then as you think about the third horizon, which is, as you mature as a business, you start to focus more and more on the predictive side of things, which is, what could happen in the future. You always have to be careful when you're doing a model that you're not saying that this is what will happen. It's impossible to predict the future, but what you can do is predict with lower error rate. You can predict with higher certainty, but you can never actually predict 100% which is going to happen. And in retail, and I'm going to get into our key focus areas in a few minutes, but what some of the key focuses are around this one-to-one idea of personalization. Can you know your customer? And knowing the customer is not to bombard them with marketing ads. Knowing your customer in our context is helping them be aware of services, be aware of things that can really help them assemble those services to help them live life well in their best context. It helps us provide great customer service by understanding what's wrong in our own operations and what customers are concerned about. It helps us with forecasting, and certainly forecasting over the last year has become so critically important. We've seen massive disruptions in the supply chain, and certainly that has only caused us to double down and understand the importance of some of the work we're doing with Waterloo.ai, because that was a key area in terms of fresh forecasting, is one of the areas that we had started on, but has only become more important as we think about understanding what can happen when you see demand surges, what can happen when you see interruptions in your supply chain. How can you account for that? Because the goal is really to make sure that when customers need something to feed their family, it's on shelf. And the retailer's job is to make sure that that hard work is done so that when the customer goes to get what they need, it's there. In combination with that, a very big focus on inventory management. Without good inventory, and as we talk about our data supply chain, without great inventory and understanding where you're at, it's impossible to forecast where you're going to need to be and what you're going to need to buy. So a big focus on inventory management and automated checkouts, and certainly with COVID, a focus on less and less touch and minimizing human interaction, being able to make those processes and the ability for the customer to freely move through our store with minimal contact, making as safely as possible, has been a big focus for us. And you'll see in some of our key partnership projects, we're focusing in that particular domain so that we can continue to enrich that experience and make it as seamless as possible for our customers. AI in itself is not a destination, but really it's a journey, as I've talked to. And really, as I mentioned on the previous slide, it's looking across these three horizons. Hindsight, which is understanding what happened in the past. Insight, which is allowing you to make more informed, data-driven decisions today. And then there's foresight around what can we make happen and what outcomes can we drive to be able to make sure that we're providing the best experience and the best opportunity for our customers every day. But I'm going to take a step back, because before you can get into partnerships, before you can get into models, it really starts with your data. And I wanted to take you through a bit of our journey over the last 10 years in terms of how we've been consciously building the foundation of our data ecosystem through some customer channels, some through internal systems, to be able to make sure that we've got the cleanest and most accurate data possible. And so when I really think about when did this start, I would say that, you know, prior to 2010, we had a set of disparate systems. Loblaw, and you saw previously on when I talked about our different banners and our different operating structures, had grown by acquisition and was really a set of different businesses that used different systems, and nothing was truly linked. We went through a huge transformation in our supply chain and in our ERP or core processes, beginning, say, 2009, and sort of culminating when we finished in 2013, with our SAP being at the core of that. And SAP often gets a bad rap, but what it forced us to do was to clean up our processes and, more importantly, clean up our data. Previously, we had, you know, multiple PLU codes. A banana wasn't 4011. A banana could have been multiple things. And, you know, we had different UPC codes, different stock keeping units or SKUs, meaning same thing or meaning different things. And because they were in different systems, we had similar SKUs that were two different products. And so we had to do a full assortment cleanup, vendor cleanups, customer cleanups, site cleanups, and really focus on our master data. But having done that hard work, it allowed us to then look at our business in a different way. We were able to organize our groupings of products into categories, subcategories, departments, and look at the business in ways that we had not before. You know, when we went and IPO'd our Choice Properties, that forced us to clean up all our leasing records, our inventory records of, you know, what types of real estate we had. And then, you know, as we moved into the customer space and launched PC Plus, which was a precursor to PC Optimum, which was a loyalty program, which was to really understand and connect with customers. And this gave us now data on customers' email addresses, SMS, although SMS was less prevalent, you know, 8 years ago, but allowed us to then get into the customer space and be able to tie what customers were buying through loyalty and their preferences to POS data that was now processing through SAP and was being cleaned against assortment. So now we had this very clean view of transactions, finances, customer. And you can see over the next number of years, we enhanced that, some with our strategic acquisition of Shoppers Drug Mart, but then the launch of e-commerce. You know, then because SAP was so fun for Loblaw, we did it again with Shoppers. And so now we had a complete view of our master data and working towards a common view of our financial inventory and physical inventory between all 2,500 locations and 25 warehouses. You know, in the last couple of years, we've been focusing on merging that customer repository. We had Optimum on the shopper side, PC Plus on the Loblaw side. We put those together in 2018 with PC Optimum, which now gave us a view of customers across all our properties, and then enhanced that with a subscription service called PC Insiders, which then gave additional content, additional value to our customers who chose to enroll in that program. And then last year, you know, we launched on the financial services side, both PC Money, and on the healthcare side, PC Health. And this is, you know, continuing to create these linkages between our experiences, obviously always following, you know, consent rules, always following proper data practices around segregation, auditing, and who has access to the data. We properly protect our data, but we can create now we have this ecosystem where we can provide visibility to customers, because customers ultimately want to know that you, A, understand what they're trying to do as they assemble these services, that you know them and that you're able to provide value to them. And so this work that we've been doing that's been so critically important has been focused on all these different data domains and being able to fill them in ways that make sense so that we can help our customers and our patients, focusing on the healthcare side, really drive outcomes that are beneficial to them and their families. And that's allowed us, across our loyalty ecosystem, our healthcare, our digital healthcare ecosystem, and our digital commerce ecosystem with PC Express, provide relevant and timely offerings to our customers. Case in point, during the early months of the pandemic last year, because we had our pharmacy data, we knew people's ages, we were able to offer preferred slots to seniors and give them opportunities to use our e-commerce. We were able to understand partnering with some other, with Sunnybrook and some other medical, we were able to provide preferred slots and early access to first-line healthcare workers. And you can see how this allows us to continue to be customer focused in the most efficient way, right? So I'm really proud on some of the things we were able to do last year and we'll continue to do to drive value for our customers and really continue to drive our focus on community and service. And so with all that done, with all that heavy lifting, and with our data never perfect, but much better than it used to be, with our digital properties and our ability to communicate with our customers, to interact with them through our digital experiences on a daily level, and to highlight opportunities for them to leverage our services, where is our AI focus and where is our focus with partners? And so we have these 4 key areas that we've been really diving into and have sort of anchored a lot of our partnership areas. And those are around retail operations. And this is this one-to-one communication, one-to-one personalization of offers and value creation for our customers. The second is around an intelligent supply chain. And supply chain is not just about moving boxes. Supply chain is highly complex and is about forecasting product movement, forecasting labor, forecasting and executing an omni-channel strategy in terms of being able to provide customers what they want at a price they want to pay and through a fulfillment method that they choose. And whether that's shopping in store, picking up through PC Express, home delivery, it's a very complicated ecosystem to make sure that you've always got the right stock in the right place and that everything is flowing through in the most efficient manner. The third is around connected healthcare. We've made a number of strategic investments over the last year, Maple through virtual care. And as I mentioned, we launched PC Health, which is to provide exemplary digital experiences for our customers to both manage their prescriptions, improve their health through health journeys, and more services to come. We launched this week our COVID vaccination appointment scheduling. That's through both PC Health and our websites. And so more and more when we've been doing rapid antigen testing through a number of sites, all geared to help Canadians, get back to business through this pandemic and to keep them safe. And the fourth is really around envisioning what the store of the future can be and should be. This is focused, as I mentioned, around helping customers seamlessly check out. It's also about empowering customers with more and more information as they choose new diet options, as they try to live their best, most healthy life through technology and also through data and AI. And as I mentioned, the focus of my talk is around partnerships. And as you build these AI capabilities and as you really try to double down on your key focus areas, it's impossible from a talent perspective, from just how much time you have in the day, to be able to think that you would be, that you could do everything yourself internally. And what that does is that necessitates an ecosystem where, as an industry player, you need to go out and partner with, and we've segmented it this way. There's industry, which would be some of our either service partners or capability partners. There's universities, and we've got a lot of work underway with different offshoots of those universities, or directly with some of their business or computer science or engineering departments on projects, or through co-op programs, or through their own capstone projects that we participate in. There's research, and then there's government organizations, either scale-ups or incubators who are incubating or scaling up the next generation of companies. And a lot of them are working in the healthcare, operations, and AI space. But the one that I really wanted to focus on today is at the bottom there, and certainly the host of this event is Waterloo.ai. And to me, I heard although I couldn't get on the presenter's link, I was actually on the participant link. So I did hear Fakri and Harold, Peter talk about the inception of Waterloo.ai and how it had come about. I remember sitting in Pearl Sullivan's office a number of years ago, and saying, I asked her, like, when the organizations that partner best with you, like, what do they do? And she said, they do a couple of things. One, they're directly engaged, meaning they're actively working on projects with our professors, with our students, and whether they're graduates, undergraduates, or PhD or postdoc students. They have a presence on campus, and they're doing exciting things. And that generates a sense of understanding from the students about what that company is trying to do. And it creates a pipeline of talent, of cross-share of knowledge, and of insight and IP that flows freely between the academic institution and the industry partner. And when we were offered the opportunity to be one of the founding sponsors of Waterloo.ai, we jumped all over it for all those reasons. I mean, Waterloo's a premier school. We've been doing a lot of recruiting and co-op programs with Waterloo, and it just made a ton of sense. It also made a ton of sense. Waterloo was also a founding member of Scale.ai, which is the government supercluster. Loblaw's been engaged in that since the beginning in 2018. There was just, a huge sense of ability to create a broader ecosystem where we're able to do good, not just for ourselves, but for the broader AI ecosystem, and certainly for Canada, as we try and achieve our inspiration and objective of being #1 in the world in AI. And so how did that, what came about from those conversations? Well, as a founding partner, we established the Loblaw Research Chair in Artificial Intelligence, and Fakri, who introduced himself earlier, is the holder of that research chair and has been an amazing partner and sponsor for our partnership over the last number of years. We've been working on, I'm going to get into some of the detail in a second, a number of projects that are very exciting and have produced a significant amount of cross-share of information and of talent, and also produced a number of academic publications, and value for us in terms of really helping us think through our approach to fresh item forecasting, and connecting and creating this ecosystem across from growers through distribution, through retail to customers. And you'll see in a second, that's a complex space. And we've got several ongoing co-innovation projects. We meet on a regular basis. I'm super excited every time I get to sit down and understand what the students have been working on, how they've enhanced each other's models, and it continues to build this, this crescendo or cascade of new information and new model building, and each one is iterating on what their the previous work has been done. And so it's really amazing to see how that's evolved. And so where we've been forecasting, this had been, and for those of you who aren't in retail, I mean, there's many problems, but a really interesting one is when you have, say, a strawberry or a banana or an orange, of course, customers like those to be fresh and affordable and in season and available on the shelf. What happens in the produce commodities is highly dependent on weather, highly dependent on supply and demand. And what can happen is, for instance, if there's a bad growing season, if you take, say, strawberries from California, a bad growing season, bad crop season, bad weather, it creates this panic buying because all retailers are trying to, and distributors are trying to get strawberries. You can end up airlifting in containers of strawberries at huge prices that are of reasonable quality, but not what you want to serve to your family potentially, through other parts of the world. And so what we thought was, how can we use AI to at least be ahead of others? I mean, at the end of the day, pricing is pretty efficient. And when there's a supply disruption or an impact to crops in a certain area, everybody pivots. And we thought, well, if we could have a week, 2 weeks, a month notice, because we're able to integrate in with, more and more farms and more growing fields are becoming instrumented. If we could leverage our analytics and AI and information to be just a step ahead, we could provide a differentiated product to our customers at a reasonable price point, because we get there before everybody else. And so that was kind of the intent, and that's led to a number of other knock-on projects. And so, what did we start to do? If you look at the sort of tree diagram there, how did we figure out what it was we were trying to forecast? Well, and what data was available, and what value could we add from an academic perspective? You can see we went from that's sort of the tree of the different selling products on the left, and we got down to where we wanted to go, which is these 5 particular fruits and vegetables. And because fruits and vegetables are highly complex, if you look in SAP, for instance, there's a PLU code for strawberries, but underneath that, and there's an article that attaches to it, but then there's all these variants, and the variants stand for different distributors and different regions of the world, and there can be hundreds. And so it becomes, what's the right way to forecast a strawberry, not just at the product level, at the demand level, but actually from the growing region or distributor that you may get it from.
David, I'm just going to jump in here. We got about 3 or 4 minutes left.
Okay.
Can I get a quick kind of summary wrap here? Maybe a chance for one question. What do you think?
Oh, okay. I thought I had till 10:30, but anyway, sure. I mean, wanted to build on, this idea of what the project's been doing. So you can see some you can see we've been testing different models, and each one has provided iteratively better results in terms of how we've been measuring our mean absolute forecast error. Speed up a bit, and you can see some, we've been doing yield to price and whether to yield forecasting. And in terms of summary, because again, I'm pretty proud of what we've been able to accomplish over the last 18 months, we've got some very good prediction models by day of fresh produce. That's produced a set of articles that have been published and conferences that have been spoken at by the various students. And we now basically are almost at the end of the journey where we'll have some software that's accessing these forecasting models. And so we can put it on the desk of our replenishment analysts, and they can use it in a easy to use UI UX kind of way to be able to integrate it into their day-to-day spot buying. So, just given the time, I did want to do one thing, because I'm just sort of, I wanted to show something, because it's another partnership that I'm really proud of. Just give me 2 minutes. And so this was something that we got there was a lot of press on this a month or two ago. But as you think about AI and you think about partnerships, like there are things that you can do yourself and there are things that you can. Autonomous has got a lot of play, but we've decided to partner with a company called Gatic, and they also have some association both to the OneEleven incubator and to Waterloo. And I did want to show, just when these things come to bear, it's exciting to see. And so this is one of our on-road trucks. I've got a little video I'm going to show, and you can see what the camera is seeing on the top left. You can see what the LiDAR and the sensors are seeing in terms of the computer model, and then you can see what's actually happening with the instrumentation and the steering wheel. The safety driver is not actually touching the steering wheel. They're there to take control in case there's a disengagement for any number of reasons. But if you just look, just run it, there's no sound. But you can see the light goes green, right? And the van moves forward. You can see it's sensing ahead. It can see traffic on the left. Right, you can see pedestrians. They can't be popped up there. It's checking, right? And there we go. There's a much longer one. It can do the whole route, but something that, if you think about the art of the possible and you think about tying that whole chain together in terms of forecasting all the way through to the execution, leveraging AI to drive a differentiated experience, this is where that it's, exciting, where it's come together all the way through. All right, so apologize, it was a bit truncated there at the end and me getting on. Hopefully that gave you an oversight of, Loblaw, both our partnership approach, where we're focusing and where we're going. Super excited about it, and I'll turn it over to any questions.
So David, I'm sorry, we're going to have to cut it off there. We're at 10:15, and I really, really appreciate this. Was a very insightful journey. And when David and I talked ahead of time, I said to him, tell him about the strawberry. It all seemed to start with the strawberry. So thanks very much for your great talk. And hopefully we can connect with you further down the road and get more insight into the journey. We'll likely be doing an event like this again in another 6 months.